here, so I got to make sure. All right, I'm recording now. All right. Share screen. All right. Let me start this thing here. Janie's here. All right. So let's start with this question here. All right. And feel free to chime in here. It's going to be the less I talk, the more effective these things are. So I need your help here. All right. So
I agree with
what
that.
is the local brand? What is your brand? Like, what's a local brand? Like, what does that mean? That term, just real quick. I'll throw it out there for me. Go ahead, Jeff.
I mean, to me, my local brand is what we represent in our local community, what people that we're catering to their needs specifically, not, that means customizing the product to them. So we're showing, to me, I'm showing them a product that's local out of like one of my vendors is out of Florida. So we are not, even though it's a big corporate company, we're individualizing and making their project about them in their local area. And providing the service that other people aren't.
We heard the term brand. I kind of thought this quote was pretty interesting. Your culture is your brand.
I was going to say that next.
Yeah. All right. So Tim Justice coming in here. Okay. So what is your culture? Someone else. Wendy, what's your business culture out there in Seattle?
You know what? Well, it's just us right now. So our culture is just, hair's on fire. Well, her hair's on fire.
All right. So,
no, I think our culture is to give the customer, how I look at it in the home. Our culture is treating our customers how I would want my mom or my aunts or my sister-in-law treated, with respect in the home, and just giving the best deal every time, and just being top notch, being the best.
Yeah.
In all things.
The customer experience, and I treat them like family. That's definitely good. All right. So one thing that we're really good at here at Floor Coverings International, and this is like, top down, and like we're all about the customer experience. We're kind of a marketing company, but one opportunity that we have network wide is this sales culture thing. Like, we don't have a lot of sales animals in our system, and so I want to talk about sales culture for a second here. So what's your definition of a sales culture? I'll tell you what, I'll give you the definition. All right. Now, I'm only going to focus on these three bolded words: mindset, attitude, and behaviors. I mean, so, the sales mindset, winning jobs, being competitive, all that, we really have an opportunity there, just from, we've got to be more, on the sales side of things as opposed to the operations and, customer service, all that's important, but so is the sales, the sales piece of it. And hopefully you've hired a sales animal in the form of your DA here. All right. So let's talk about creating a sales culture here. The components. Okay. We're going to break it down here. You have the infrastructure, celebrating wins, all this, keeping score, a competitive environment, and then sales practice. Part of the sales practice is the ride-alongs, so we're pretty good at doing ride-alongs in the beginning, but in reality, who's had a DA for a while on the call? Anybody? Probably not if you're in this class, but, ride-alongs aren't just in the beginning. It's an ongoing thing. All right. like your DA, like really can't be, you know, intimidated because you're hopping in the van with them, you know, and they're 6 months in. You know, if it's a regular occurrence, you know, it'll be a lot more effective. You know, if you only get in the van when they're doing something wrong, you know, it's not really going to bode well for the experience. Cause like they're not going to be themselves on the ride along. They're going to like try and be like a model employee or something like that. So if you're doing ride alongs on a regular basis, even in the good times and the bad, you know, it's just part of the culture, and they're going to get better from it. You know, so effective ride-alongs are a constant thing, and not just. I just want to emphasize that. So, what's the difference like between a ride-along and a practice session? Come on, you guys got to help me out here. I mean, I can't carry
Real
it.
customer. Ride
Yeah, your
alongs are
ride
real
along, you're
customer.
actually, yeah, your ride along is actually with a customer, and your practice sessions is,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna pretend to be the customer, and you're gonna
Yeah.
pitch me.
The role play.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, you know, maybe your DA wants to work on the walk of life or a setup call or whatever. And another thing, you know, on ride-alongs, a ride-along doesn't have to be in a customer home. It could be, you know, a lot of the new DAs are not comfortable like with networking and BNI and you know, and there's some pushback going on, especially in NFDP, like related to that. You know, so a ride-along could be a BNI meeting. A ride-along could be, we're going to go visit, you know, assisted care living center together. We're going to go to a realtor's office together, and you know, so it doesn't have to be like your traditional, you know, inspired sales process. It could be anything. Okay, whatever that DA needs help with. Okay, so and most of all, it's got to be fun. You know, it can't be all. You know how it is when you carry the weight of the world into an appointment. You know, your customer is going to pick up on that. You know, so your DA's got to be, you know, in a good headspace and having fun, and you know, that should be part of the culture as well. All right. Today we're going to really focus on the infrastructure piece. You know, and by that I mean our DA business planning specifically. We're going to get into that today, and then on the following call we're going to touch on the GSNR, you know, as part of the infrastructure, and then we kind of talked about the ride-alongs and the practice sessions, you know, regular and ongoing. All right. Now I'm going to attempt to do some Zoom gymnastics. I want to show you this this link down here. Hold on just a second here. Give me a second. All right.
Hiring, firing, hiring, firing, and no one just wants to do the fucking job, Gary. Is it me that
Yes.
I'm not giving the job properly?
It's 100% you. Even the way that you're casting judgment on your employees already makes me know that you're not a good leader.
I'm trying to be one, but
I believe you, but the answer is it's you. The number one mistake is we expect our employees to work hard, but the problem is they don't own the business. You can't ask an employee to work as hard as you, or you create a fake expectation versus how much you compensate them. You work for them, they don't work for you. And so the biggest mistake people make and why they can't build scalable businesses is they have selfish expectations of their employees.
try hiring.
All right. You all hear that by any chance?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
I hear that. I
Yeah.
hear that in my head every day.
All right. Let me
No,
share
what I
screen
heard
again.
is it's Gary's fault.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Let me get back up here real quick. All right, so we kind of went through this already. All right, so we're going to take a look at the plan itself here. All right, we're going to get into the planning tool. I want to show you the what the conversation looks like when you're doing like your business planning with your DA here. Okay, so this kind of a sample conversation here. One thing about the business plan is you think of your DA's plan in terms of revenue as the franchise owner. Probably do a break even to see like what they got to sell to pay for themselves and where it fits in your overall business plan. But your DA doesn't see it that way. They don't see revenue, they see income. What are they going to make? So your conversation with them is really based around, what's in it for them and what they're going to make. So you kind of start out here. I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but you want to just flat out ask them, like, what do you want to make this year? What do you want to make this quarter? Or the rest of the year? And then you kind of start there. And your whole goal in the business planning process is to show them how to make what they want to make. You're showing them a path to get there. And they're telling you what they want to make. And one thing that you want to make sure is, their expectations are going to line up with what you need them to do in your business plan. But you want to, when you're speaking to them, you got to speak, on their level, and they're really only interested in what they're going to make. Revenue and all this other stuff is, they don't really care. If they're not making money, they're not going to care. So just be mindful of that as you're talking to them. And I'll send this to you, but this is kind of like, you're kind of getting into it here. I want to make 50,000, and then, all right, so you're kind of breaking it down with them and showing them how they can make that 50,000 in a year, and showing them how the system works. They have to know that how to make money at Floor Coverings International. Like what's important. And all that is part of the business planning process, which we're going to get into here in a second here. Okay, but so I'll send this to you, but I just wanted to show it to you as well. All right, so here's the actual business planning document here. All right, this is the preparation piece of it. So just like you have VTOs, 1 year, 3 year VTO, hopefully your DA does too. Okay, so I would definitely start there. And this is like the prep part. So you want to send this out to them prior to the conversation, and have them fill out this introspection tab here, which is basically like their 1 year and their 2 year VTO in this case here. So, and have them fill this out and send it to you prior to the meeting so that you can kind of look at it and make sure it lines up with the branch business plan. But you want these VTOs to be personal. If they say, I want to make $50,000, like, try and find out why. Maybe they want to move out of their mom's house. Maybe they want to buy a place. Maybe they're saving for a vacation. Try and find out what's really motivating them and why they want to hit that goal. What's driving it for them? And then, but you kind of talk through these, and then, I got an example of the business plan here. So now you're showing them how to get there, basically. So let's say that you have a DA that's going to start selling in September here, okay? You're kind of walking through on the blue bars here. Okay, so in the first month, maybe like you're not going to run as many proposals. So you kind of got to guide the conversation so it's realistic. Like if they put, I want to run 10 appointments a week in their first month, you have to kind of rein that in a little bit, and hopefully like you're having to rein them in instead of to push them or nudge them. So you start up here with the proposals, and then maybe their close rate starts out lower, and as they build skill, it gets better. And the same with the average job size as well. And then in this scenario here, on these lines down here, like in September, these are connect proposals, okay? The sustainable part of keeping your DA are these connect proposals and networking. Okay, as you probably know by now after being out there for a while, it's the key to success. And our top DAs in the network. So one of the things I'm working on the side here is DA retention, and so that we took the top 40 DAs in the network. We kind of broke down their sales as a group, and all of them individually have at least half of their proposals coming out of non-digital sources. So like Connect, events, or whatever, but more than half, and it's very consistent through our top DAs. So this has to be something that's really at the forefront, like these Connect proposals and local, B2B2C and stuff like that. So does anyone have any pushback from their DAs on this? Most of the DAs willing to learn how to do this? Or are they open to it? Or any feedback on that? Because
Yeah, my guy's new. Hey, Joe, it's Tim. So
hey, Tim, what's up, buddy?
not much, man. Really good conversation so far. The thing is, my guy's new, and he'll nod his head and he'll agree that the Connect stuff is more valuable, but I can't really get any traction on that yet. And I don't know. I need to get him to buy into it.
Yeah. Okay. So, anybody else have any thoughts on that?
Yeah,
Who's
I
having
got
success with that?
some,
Anybody?
I do.
Okay.
So what I've been doing with my DA is when we go out in the field and we go to an appointment and we close it, I say, by the way, you know where this referral came from? It came from, I met this person. It came from a Connect. It came from my BNI group. So he sees that and he gets excited. So he's actually joining a BNI group on Thursday. I went with him and he's, as of next Thursday, even though he's not out in the field, he's already in a BNI group and he's excited about it, making connections. And we got the roster from the BNI group. And I said, let's sit down and let's connect. Let's check everyone in the group that you think would be a good referral partner. And then we're going to email all of them and set up one-on-ones. So that's what I did this before he went out in the field. So he's already conditioned to know, and he already got a referral. And we went to a referral and he's getting another one. So he's big on referrals. So it's already instilled from day one when we're in the car. I said, by the way, that was a referral. I just made that sale. So it's already conditioned on the first time we go in the van, I'm talking about referrals. And he embraces it. And he's like, yeah, I want to join a BNI group now. I'll go to the meeting. So as of next week, he'll be going to a BNI meeting every week.
Yeah. And he's seeing the quality difference in the lead and the appointment, like of a network versus a PPA,
Right.
let's say, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. He's seeing it firsthand. That's good stuff there.
Yep.
Anybody else facing this issue with their DAs? Because I'm telling you what, it's a common problem with the new DAs. They're
Joe, our
they're
DA,
resisting this.
like Jeff said, our DA has already joined a BNI chapter. He's doing one-to-ones. He's starting the one-to-ones. He's gotten a couple referrals, believe it or not. He's trying to track them down, just get a hold of them. But he's also on his own. He's gone out and put up some of the yard signs at key intersections. He's gone to some local businesses. He happens to like diners, so he'll go into a diner and he'll chat with the server and make a connection. Usually he's a veteran, so he's always looking for veteran connections. But he did it recently at a diner this week, and where he gets his hair cut.
Well, Jersey, you guys got some pretty good diners over there in Jersey, man. I'll tell you that. All right. That's good stuff. So the common theme is with Leanne and Jeff, they're instilling this early, and they're showing the benefit, which is really good. Like another thing you can do is pull up the lead source report, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second. And you can show the quality difference, on the KPIs on a Connect lead versus a digital lead. The close rate's a lot higher, the job size is bigger, the rewards are are there as well. So very important, like to build this in early, because like the longer it goes on, the harder it's going to be to do. But like in Leanne and Jeff's case, like their DAs don't know any better. It's just part of the culture, you know, and that's the way to do it. Okay, so we talk about, you know, connect proposals and referral part. So built into their plan, you know, you're expecting them to develop some kind of local proposal, like in the first, like in October, like you want to see one, in November two, you want to see this build, because as this builds, this is going to build, and so is their job size. It all goes up with the higher balance in these types of leads, right? And then reviews as well. You know, a big part of our business is reviews, as you know. You know, so like your DA's got to be on the forefront of that too, and, you know, and bake that into their plan as well. Okay. All right. So this is kind of what an example looks like here, and like under this scenario here, if your DA is just getting started, you know, they're going to land $140,000, you know, based on proposals per week, and close rate and job size, and they're going to make 14 grand in this 4-month period here. Okay, so if they want to make more, well, then you got to start tweaking stuff, you know, and show them how they can make more. Okay, one way to show them is with this income calculator here. Okay, so in this example here, we're doing 86 proposals in this 4-month period with a close rate of 31% and the job size of 5,300. So you kind of plug that in here, okay? I put the date range in there as well, you know, and then you kind of break it down for them here. So basically, this is, you know, 5 proposals a week. There's 86 proposals in this time frame is 5 a week average, okay? And under the current state here, you know, they're going to land 141,000, and they're going to make 14,000 in this 4-month period. You can annualize that too. So if this was their performance for the entire year, they would sell 425,000 and make 42 grand. Okay, this performance is going to really get them 42 grand a year. Okay, you know, that's where like you go back to the VTOs and kind of, you know, massage things a little bit. Okay, so this is the what if game here. So let's say they went from 5 proposals and they added 1 proposal a week, just 1 a week. Okay, well that's going to bring, you know, and the close rate and job size are staying the same here. Now they're going to land 170,000 in this 4-month period. You know, incremental sales of almost 3 grand, 30 grand just from adding 1 proposal a week over the 17-week period. So that's 17 more proposals basically. Annualized, that's going to give them, you know, 513,000, you know, for annual income of 51 grand. So just by adding 1 proposal a week, they went from 42 grand to 51 grand. They picked up almost $9,000 in income. Okay. Let's say in this scenario, we're back to 5 proposals a week and we add $500 to their job size. You know, like you focus on that with them. Well, that's this $500 increase on their job size is basically going to get them another 13 grand in revenue annually, you know, 40 grand, but they're going to go from 42 to 46 for a $4,000 increase. Okay, so the impact, you know, what's easier to do? Add 1 proposal a week or add $500 to your job size? Anybody want to weigh in on that?
I think $500 on your job size.
Okay, well,
I think proposal.
yeah, I mean, the bigger impact is definitely in the proposals because it's
Right.
it's adding, you know. So on the close rate here, you know, say they pick up 5 points on their close rate, they go from 31 to 36. Everything else is the same. And that's going to take them to 50 grand a year annualized income. It's going to pick up, you $7,000 like from the current state. So, you know,
Joe, can I
usually you're
interrupt
gonna
you and
find
ask a question?
yeah, please.
So, and this may be a silly question, because I know that everybody's compensation package for their DA is probably different. So this is all factored in it that they're getting a straight like 10% commission, but like, for instance, like ours has kind of like a scale, like if you landed at this percent, this range of margin, you're gonna get this much, et cetera, like a little sliding scale kind of thing. I mean, is this more like a demonstrative tool in that case?
Well-
Or is there a way to like adjust it for, you know, a different compensation
Yeah.
package?
You could definitely adjust it. Like, is yours based on 50 points of margin, they're making 10%, or is it something different?
No, yeah, 50, they're making 10%. And then like,
Yeah.
don't quote me on the range, but it's like, I don't know, 47 to 49, it's, you know, 7%, like 9%, it, you know,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
You could adjust it. I mean, for the commission rate, and we can do that offline, but I can definitely show you
Okay.
how to do that.
All right,
This kind of assumes that they're at maximum margin though.
Yeah.
Or like they're selling at 50. You know?
right.
But if you want to make it more realistic for them, like maybe 8% or 9%, I can definitely show you how to do that as well.
I
But
think he would like, my DA would like this for himself. And obviously, I think that keeping it at 10% gives him the incentive to
yeah,
keep those margins
I
high.
would assume he's at 50. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
A good question though. Okay, so you know, these are the levers. This is what I'm talking about. That a DA has to understand how to make money in our system. You're showing them how to make money here. You know, like you're showing them proposals per week is a lever, job size, and close rate. These are the big three right here. You know, and of course margin. You know, I'm assuming margin's going to be there as well. But like, show them what the biggest impact is. You know, so like in this scenario, what's going to make the biggest difference for this particular DA here? What would you have them focusing on right now?
Close rate, I think, makes a huge difference.
Well, close rate's going to get them another $6,000 a year. Okay.
Yeah, proposals is, I mean, just from metrics, it's gonna get the biggest bang for buck.
Yeah, the biggest bang for your buck's proposals in this case, and you know, just adding one proposal a week is going to get them another we'll call it $9,000 in income. Okay.
Hey, gang, I
Now-
got to roll for my 11 o'clock appointment, Joe. Thanks.
All right, man. Okay.
See ya.
In this scenario here is they're doing all three. Okay. So if they do all three, like to your point, Janie, you know, and usually if your proposal's coming out of Connect, it's going to help your job size. It's going to help your close rate at the same time. So it's kind of a trickle down effect on that, you know, and if all three are done, now they're making $65,000 a year, you know, just by adding one proposal, $500 here and 5% on the close rate. So you're kind of showing them how the system works here, what levers they could pull and how to make money in our system. And it's very important for a DA. You know, we do exit interviews with DAs, you know, like ones that leave our network. And by far the biggest complaint is they don't know how they get paid. They don't know how they make money. Like they never understood the compensation plan, like to begin with, like with the sliding scale on margin and, you know, so simple is definitely better on that part, but this part is key here. They need to know what levers to pull to make more money in our system. And if they're making more money, you're making more money. You know, so this is a key part of the a conversation with your DA. Even we're going to talk about GSNRs on the next call here, and you're going to go back to this because, like, if you notice, like the GSNR is right here. You know, all this is connected. Like the business plan, like the GSNR. You're referring back to the VTOs. It's one big. It's a living document in that sense. You know, like it's always at the foot. So they're all together for a reason. Okay, so anybody have any questions on the,
I got one, Joe. So
Yeah.
is this based off of installs or just sales landed?
I guess how
okay,
do
that's a
people
great
do it?
question. I'm glad you asked that question. Okay, so it's a mixed bag, but who's paying their DAs on installs and landed on the call? Let's kind of go around the horn here.
I only do it on I only do it on install because that's what you're actually getting paid for. I mean, there's stuff higher up in the pipeline that you
Yeah.
think's gonna, you think's gonna get installed, but at the end of the day, you're only getting paid on install. So I last time I had, they just did it on what got installed.
Okay. What about you, Janie? Like, you just hired a DA.
So we just hired a DA, but I also just fired him last week. So we're working on looking for a new one. But
Okay.
but our
But-
plan is having them paid on installed because it's one thing to sell a job for $25,000, but if it produces and we lose a whole bunch of margin points, there's some things there too. So that's the
I
plan.
totally agree on that one.
Yeah,
Has to
I'm
be-
leaning
it has
to
be installed.
yeah, I'm leaning towards installed too, just because there's a lot of gray area there where you can, they can manufacture jobs, and get paid on that. I would, for just like Janie said, there's a lot of margin that you can lose, and it's incentive for I'm horrible at the details. So transitions are kind of my kryptonite. So it would be an incentive for someone like me to make sure that they have, your quarter round or your baseboard or your transitions, the little details that kind of get eaten up in for me. I think for a DA, if I was paying them on the end product, that they have incentive to really be a stickler for detail.
So I was going to do it on the installed, but then I changed it up to do it on the sold margin, just because sometimes if you're having issues with install, so if you lose margin points on install and it's not something that the DA has done, or is not directly impacted by what they sold, you're then penalizing them for you not being able to install it correctly.
Well, I think that's where you have to come into, like, if it's a DA, if it's the DA's fault, then, have some conversations, all that kind of stuff. If it's my fault, I still want to pay the DA their full commission. If they lose points because we have something wrong in the price list or something else, yeah.
That's
So I
how
guess
we have it written in our offer letter as well. So it's based on produced or installed sales and
Yeah.
gross margin. And then we actually wrote in there that, if you're losing points because of mistakes that the DA has made, that, then it's going to be, it'll be reflected in their compensation. But like you said, I mean, I wouldn't knock him for something that, was a production issue or an installer, for instance, not that this has ever happened to me, but an installer cutting a dishwasher line and having to, send a plumber out to replace it.
Yep,
All
I
right.
have the same thing on mine too, because my DA was an installer before. So he was like, why should I get, less percentage just because somebody else screwed up or didn't do a good job, right? So yeah, so therefore,
and just say that because I do it on the sold, because I'm planning on paying them on the sold gross margin. If we do drop points because the DA has done something, then I would do it the other way around. I would just obviously take that out of the payment. So, but I think it's just so much easier for them to see that I sold at this is what my payment is, as opposed to I sold at this, you guys produced at this, and now we're trying to figure it out. So no, you sold at 50. This is what you're at 10% commission rate. This is what you're getting paid. However, on Jim Jones's job, we lost $400 because you forgot to put in 3 transitions. So this is your total compensation. We're taking off the $400 we lost. This is what's left.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate with that, because I was a sales rep for a long time, and I was with a company that did that, and then they would pay me, it was like 50-50, you get half up front, and then you expect the balance to be the same, and they would hit you with all these things. And then as a salesperson, you're like, damn it, you guys are always hitting me on my commission. That's the way they feel. As opposed to just say, here's your commission, this is what it is, I'm not taking any money back. When you give a sales rep money and then you take it back from them, that creates it. That's a tough
But on the
in.
same hand, if you're doing it on produced margin, so they sold at 50, they produced at 47, you're still
Right.
taking money away from them.
Yeah.
Well, exactly, but they know that they're getting on what is produced.
What they don't
Right.
know until it's produced, because if they're doing their numbers, they're trying to calculate their numbers. As far as they're concerned, they sold at 50,
Right.
so they still have an expectation
Yeah.
of what's coming in.
But you physically haven't given the money, and then on the next thing taking it back from them. So
But you
it's a double.
yeah,
I just
but you
think
wouldn't do that the
producing
other way
easy.
around either. You'd say, this is your commission, this is what we lost on.
Right.
Because you're probably going to, I mean, I plan to play them quarterly. That's what my agreement with the sales, with my sales effort. So I know by then what I put in, what I haven't put in, what we lost on each job.
Right.
And the goal is, when you do your job costing, is to really go through your DA's job costing with your DA, so they actually see it in real time, that we produced this job. Do you know what? Great, we made up 3 points on this, or we lost 3 points on this because this, and this. So they already have an expectation by the time they're going to get their payment or their reimbursement, whatever, or this is coming to me. I just I thought it was easy just to see the numbers that way.
Okay.
Well, no one's right or wrong here, but I'm going to give you the other side of the story. On the DAs I talked to that left our network, and some of them were good DAs. Okay, so they hate getting paid on installs. Okay, they hate it because they have no control on the installs. They don't even. You don't want your DA even thinking about installs. I mean, you want them to be, salespeople. Okay, you don't want them carrying the weight of the world into one of their appointments, thinking about an install that went bad. Because as owners, you guys know what that's like. Okay, I mean, it sucks. Okay, and you don't want that for your DA, and they hate it because they have no control over their install production delays. Like whatever goes on in an install. So a salesperson should get paid when they sell. Sell, get paid. Sell, get paid. Okay, that's what they want. And when you do it on installs, first off, salespeople think the whole comp system is designed to screw them over. That's how they think. Okay, it's like there's some kind of fine print loophole that I'm going to get screwed. Okay, they come into it thinking that way, and then this whole production variable, just adds to that. I think Jason, you made a great point. In your weekly GSNR, you should be job costing your DA's jobs weekly. Okay, and if they're making mistakes, maybe the first mistake they forgot a transition. It's a teaching moment. Okay, and then you say, look, we're losing money here, so I'm gonna have to ding you next time this happens. I'm not gonna do it now, but we can't have this going forward. And if you're doing that weekly, they'll fix it. If they don't fix it, then ding them. Okay, but at least they were warned. And that's one of the biggest reasons why they leave. Is like, we have a lag in production too, especially for a new DA. These 10-year DAs that have been around a while, they have a huge pipeline of jobs that have landed, that are in production, so there's always income coming in. A newer DA doesn't have all that, and when you pay them on producer, pay them quarterly or whatever, they have to live off whatever that salary is or draw that you're paying them, and like a lot of times they can't do that, they have expenses too. So Tim, you're one of our resident sales guys here. How are you paying Chris?
Well, we're paying him based on sold margin. When he lands the job and gets a deposit, we're counting that.
Okay.
And it scales based on whether he sells it at 36 points, 42 points, 46 points, or 50 points. So if he sells it above 46 points, he gets 10%. And if he brings the lead to us, he gets another 3 points. So he can make up to 13 points on a job. But it just depends on where he sells it and where we land it.
Okay, so I like how you're paying a little kicker for a self-generated. So instead of paying Google, you're paying him, right?
Mhm.
In a sense, or
Mhm.
I like that part of it too. Okay, so yeah, landed. I mean, if I could, make one recommendation here on this call, is don't fall into that produce trap, because like your DA is not, is going to frown upon it. It's going to really from the DAs I've talked to, it's not a motivator for them. It's a demotivator.
So so I love the idea of paying on landed sales. I love it. But if a job is never produced because they back out, like,
If
do you
we don't
think it
get a
would be?
deposit and they cancel, then we would take it out of the commission report.
Yeah, okay. Because I'm on board that. To me, my previous leadership experience, you pay for the job, you coach and corrective action the failure to do the job well. And so you separate those two things, and you would put a strong, it'd be positive coaching conversations. You'd put an action plan in place for them to, if they started at a 3% loss in produced margin because of their actions, to get that down to 2% the next month and 1% the month after, through these action steps. And if they can't achieve that, you know what I mean, over a long period of time, and, action plans, then you let them go. But I was curious about that one, because I'm all for paying on margin, but if it never gets installed, that doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, you can reach back on that and say, hey, I'm sorry they canceled, but hopefully that's not very common. And but yeah, so landed sale is it's a nerve for the salespeople. And
But
we have kind of a mixed bag on
I'll throw out their
this call
opinion.
here.
I get it if it's a 20-year veteran of the industry who's already got his own contacts and is going to do the production coordinating, right? I get there's an argument for it, but as a sales guy forever, it's not my job to produce once I land the job. It's the company's job to produce. This is in my old companies, in my old roles, fulfillment is a different animal than sales. And I think it's just a lot more fair and a better environment and a better culture. We started this conversation with culture to incentivize sales guys and get excited about landing jobs, instead of worrying about the kinks in production, because that's somebody else's job to make sure that gets done correctly.
Yeah, and paying them on produced does not promote a sales culture. Let's put it that way. Like to Tim's point, it really doesn't. You're promoting an operations culture, It's something to think about, because we have a lot of people doing both. Okay, I'm going to show you and Tim, I've showed this to you, but I'm going to share a recent offer letter. You all know Ken and Amy Kish? Have you heard that name before?
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yes, they are awesome. Okay, so they just hired a DA. And this is their offer letter here to Isabella. So this DA, accepted the offer at the end of June, let's say, and July was their first month. They're in training right now, but they just have the regular stuff up top here, expectations and work hours, events, things like that. All this is pretty basic, but when they come down to so they're paying their DA an annual salary of 40 grand. Okay. And it's a true salary. It's not a draw. Okay. So there's no payback scenario here. Sometimes on a $40,000 salary, that's $3,800 a month. They would have to sell 38,000 and then start earning commission after that. But they're just doing a straight up salary here. Okay. And then if their DA sells at 50, they're going to make 5%. On the first 500, on the first dollar they sell, they're going to start making money. So every time they sell, they make a little something. Okay. And if she sells at 50 points for the first 500,000 on this is a rolling 12 months, by the way, she's going to make 5%. Okay. Once she crosses over that $500,000 mark, there's a little kicker in there. She's going to make more. And then once she gets over 850, she's going to make more. So like, there's real incentive here, like to grow, you know, and try and be $1 million DA. Okay. And then they have the sliding scale with the margin as well. So like, you know, if it's lower margin, they're going to make less across all three of these bands here. Okay. And then they're kicking in 3% if they generate the lead, land the job themselves on a referral, like a B2B to C, like however they do it, they're going to add 3% to these numbers up here. Okay. Because in theory, like they're really not paying any kind of marketing cost here, you know, and they're kind of putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to networking and B2B to C. And Jason, I think you kind of touched on this earlier. Like you're doing this with your DA too, you know. So it's a rolling 12 months, and you know, this is kind of now. Amy is a CPA, so like I ran all these numbers, like she did all the, you know, $1 million DA is going to make $100,000 under this plan after selling at 50 points. So it ends up being the same as paying them 10%. Okay. And they make a little bit more if they are working this networking thing. But in this matrix here, $1 million DA is going to make like $106,000 according to Amy's numbers. Like I kind of trust her math because you know, she's a CPA, you know, but it's her background. So where they could lose money with this DA is if they're not, you know, producing. Okay. You know, and what you'll have when you have a scenario like where they have to hit a certain threshold to start earning commission, you know, say it's 38,000 in this case here, you know, say it's August 25th right now. If your DA is at like, you know, 15,000, they're going to be thinking to themselves, I'm never going to hit 38,000 this month, you know, so they're going to be demotivated. They're going to be demotivated, you know. In this scenario, every time they sell something, they're making something, you know, so it'll keep them, you know, hungry for sales and motivated basically, you know. And then, so there's one way to look at it. And Tim, you kind of used something similar to this, didn't you, in your recent offer?
It's
Chris?
pretty close. I still pay a commission at 36 points, but it's similar. Yeah.
Okay. And they're paying on landed sales here, by the way. And they're paying the next month. Okay. Very important here. Salespeople don't like waiting around for a commission that they're owed. In their mind, I know it's not produced yet, but in their mind, they've done their job and they're owed this money. You know, and like the longer you wait, the more it's going to sour them. You know, this is like a sales culture here. Okay, all this, it just feeds right into it. All right, and there's a couple other things in here, but you know, this is what I really wanted to show you, and I'll share this with you after the call. I'll send out an email. I'll put this on there as an attachment. Okay, so their DA is in training. More to come on that, but you know, I think they're set up for success. I really like this offer. You know, in fact, it's the one I'm kind of using as a model going. You know, anyone who's hired a DA recently knows this is what we're kind of going with here. It's I think it's a really good model here, a framework for an offer. Anybody have any thoughts on this?
I used it. I like it.
But
Yeah,
are you paying
my
on landed or?
Good. No, go ahead.
Are you paying on landed or produced, Jeff?
Well, you know, we had produced, but I need to go into the office and talk about it because I think landed would be a lot easier to calculate because we have a lot of stuff going in the background with our installation team. So the more I think about it, I think for simplicity wise, it would be probably landed would be better. And then if there's a major problem, like you forgot a room or was short a lot of material, we can address that later on. But I think right now, what I might do is just go in and say, guys, let's just go by what the sales force says that the gross margin was landed, and then that's what he gets paid on the following month.
Yeah, and like you really got to be diligent with the job costing. I mean,
Right.
you can't let stuff spin out of control and find out about it a month later. But you need to know if you made a mistake, like within a week. You know what I'm saying?
You know, and I also think too, for new DAs, I think there should be a grace period where if they make a mistake, they don't get dinged for it. You know, they
Yeah.
maybe you have a son, guys, look, you know, you're allowed 2 or 3 mistakes. You get a 60-day grace period or 30 days to, you know, because you're going to make mistakes. And if they say, look, don't worry though, we're going to still pay you. Then that gets says, all right,
Yeah.
great. So they don't feel demotivated because they shouldn't, because they're going to make mistakes. I mean, as owners, we all make, I'm not an owner, but we still make mistakes, I'm sure. Like, oh crap, I left that off. I forgot about the, you know, the underlayment from the cabinets or whatever. You forget stuff.
Yeah.
So
And
we don't want to
like if
ding
they
them for
land a
that.
job at 50 and make a mistake, you produce it at 45 and you're still paying the 5%. I mean, it's not really hurting you that bad. You know
No,
what I'm
it's
saying?
not.
I mean,
No, it's not.
yeah.
I think it's
But-
interesting, this concept though of like, because a lot of people, when we were talking about drafting our first offer letter, they said, oh yeah, give them the base and then say, once you sell X amount in a month, then your commission starts. It seems like that would be super, this approach feels a lot better because they're getting paid on everything they sell. Now,
Right.
granted, their
Absolutely.
commission's less because they're earning the base, but like,
Right.
it seems like as a salesperson, it would be more motivating for sure.
It's way more motivating for them. And, you know, if they're doing $1 million, you're paying them the same. You know what I mean? You know, like, you know, they just feel better about it. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Well, they're
So,
not constantly
I really
feeling
like
like they
it.
have to catch up. They're not feeling like, oh man, I
Yeah.
gotta sell a little bit more to get to my base and then I'll start making more money.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, and if they have no chance with a week left in the month, like they might get demoralized. You know, I kind of mail it in for that week and start again next month. You know what I'm saying? That's it. All right, so I'll definitely share this with you, and I've got Amy and Ken's permission, like to use this as a model. So feel free to reach out to Amy or Ken and ask them about it too. You know.
And then just from a total logistical standpoint, like, do you guys put together like a spreadsheet where they can plug in their numbers so they know and you agree that this is what they're going to get paid out? Just like, I love the idea of a concept of like a 5% or 10% for anything over blank, just because it's easy. You can go, okay, I get 5% on any sale until I make $500,000. Perfect. Easy. I can literally do that math in my head as I'm selling a job, what I'm going to make on it.
Yeah, so like in Power BI, I'm going to open up Power BI here real quick. Well, this is one way to do it here, right, Wendy? You know, but in Power BI, you know, like, oh, damn, I hit the wrong button. You can pretty much run whatever you want, you know what I mean? So I'm going to go to it and do it real quick here. This MIS by DA here, okay? You can run with like whatever time period like you want, okay? And you know, so in their first month, you can get all their KPIs. This is August. These are the DAs that we have. Not owners, only DAs. Okay, so I ran it from August 1st. This month to date so far. Okay, so you just go here. You can export this into Excel. Okay, which I happen to have right here. Look, this is the same report right here, and these are the DAs. Okay.
So with that,
so-
and maybe I had a misunderstanding. So with that
Yeah.
computation, are you guys doing the average month margin sold and paying them out based on that? Or are you doing every job margin sold and
You could
paying them
do it
out
by
based on
job.
that?
You could do it by job. I mean, it's like when you land the job, you're like, I think the best practice is to do it by job and do the job costing at the same time. Okay, so they land the job, you import it into your job costing worksheet, right? You guys all have that, right? And it's going to give you the landed margin right there on each job in the job costing. And then, you know, as you produce it, as invoices come in, you're gonna populate all that, and you're gonna come like to the produce margin as well. You know, but it's all right there together. So you could do it by job. It might be easier just to do the average. You know, it really depends on how you want to handle it.
Tim, as a salesperson, which one would you prefer?
Well, as a bit, I mean, I was just thinking about that. I was actually just thinking about that. I would want a flat 10. If I sell a job at 46 to 50 points, which is a sales guy, I should know how to do that. I should be able to get creative on scope or whatever I need to do. I could overcome price objections and value objections and still sell 46 to 50 points. I would want to get a flat 10%, maybe 13%, and just get paid on commission. As a business owner, I love the idea of having the monthly incentive to try to drum up sales at the end of the month. So I don't know, I have mixed feelings about it, but then I understand the point that there's a positive thing about just getting a commission on every job sold, right? So that you don't have a disincentive or a negative thing about, oh, well, you didn't hit your quota this month. You didn't hit your minimums this month. I don't know. I probably, as a sales guy, I'm going to assume I'm going to knock down 100 grand a month anyway, and just make a lot of money and not worry about it as long as I'm getting paid. But it's a good question. I'm thinking about that, Wendy. I'm not sure which one I would prefer.
I mean, if you could do it by job, I mean, like Tim, like if you sold a $20,000
Guys,
job.
I gotta run, man. I'll catch you guys later. Sorry.
All right.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right.
Good input.
All right. Like if you sold like a $50,000 job at 50 points, I mean, you're calculating what you made on that job, right? I mean, like you're thinking in your head, I made X on this.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you use the averages, it could dilute that. You know, maybe you had a job that you had lower margin, it's going to pull it down, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
it's easier for you to do the average. It's probably better for them. I mean, there's going to be a medium there, you know?
Yeah. And there's something great about knowing when you get a signed contract on a 30 grand job that you just got a big paycheck, right? I mean, so
Yeah.
I can see the
They're
argument.
expecting that paycheck. They're thinking about that job, what they made, and expecting to see it in their paycheck the next month. So
Yeah.
each job should be mutually exclusive in a sense, you know, I would say, but
Mhm.
easy for me to say, it's not my money, right, Wendy?
But it's interesting. It does bring up so many, like thinking about making a sales culture instead of an operations culture. As an owner,
Yeah.
I'm all thinking about operations because at the end of the day, we're the ones paying the bills,
Yeah.
paying the installers, losing margin points, all the different things. But that's not the DA's job. Yes, we want to teach him how to estimate accurately so that they're not losing tons of points. But at the end of the day, their job is to sell and to deliver on the promises and the things that we want our customers to feel, like the love and the care and all the different things. Like their job is deliver that and sell the job, period. So they really shouldn't be so worried about operations, even though from our
No.
standpoint as owners, we're 100% worried about operations.
That's the difference, okay? They're not walking into a house thinking about the 3 installs that are going around as you're in this appointment. You don't want them caring about that, you know? I'm going to use Tim and Brianne as an example. Like, they're a couple, and Tim's the sales and Brianne's the production end. And if you ask Tim about what's going on with some of these jobs, he has no idea, and he shouldn't know. Right, Tim? Is that a fair statement?
I don't want to know. I want to move on to the next sale. I mean, it's just a mindset.
Yeah.
Though. Yeah.
That's funny
That's
because
your DA.
Courtney does sales and I sometimes keep him in the dark about what's going on because I don't want him thinking about how we're struggling or what issue we're having. I just want him excited about like the fact that at the end
Like,
of the
you
day, we're
can't
going
walk
to
into the home.
promise.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
it'll be written all over your face when you're talking to the customer, you know? If you're all stressed out about something else, you know, you're not gonna bring your best effort, you know? Your
know
DA should not really.
I know that when we had our first bit of installers, I didn't have the most confidence in their ability and their quality. And in the back of my mind, when I was in there in a home, I mean, it was there. Now we
Yeah.
have installers that I completely trust to do what's right, do it the right way. And there's a sense of relief and relaxation when I go in there knowing, hey, I know, in the back of my mind, I know things can go wrong, not per plan. But we have the ability, I know that we'll make it right no matter what. And that we have the crew to do that, whether it's with Wendy or the install team. And there's a huge sense of relief for that. I go in there knowing that if I make a promise like, hey, we're going to give you top-notch, top-flight service throughout. And if things go sideways, we're going to be there to take care of it. I know that that's actually going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. So just kind of rethink if you're not on the landed sales side of things, because it does matter to the DAs. If you talk to all the DAs that are leaving, it's a big issue, as well as the compensation plan on top of that. Those are the two big reasons right there. And then everyone here has recently hired a DA. Are you familiar with the marketing credits that are available to you and all that stuff? Okay, good. I don't need to go over that, but make sure that you're applying for those credits, because there's no automated process like to credit franchise owners at Floor Coverings International. Okay, we're really good at taking the money, but we're not as efficient at giving it. Okay, and so just well. And unfortunately, I'm recording this. I hope nobody watches it. I hope Alan isn't going to watch this recording. But you have to ask for it, is what I'm trying to say. They'll give it to you, but you have to ask. It's a manual process. All right. That's, I think, I'm just going to share one last thing. Some good news here, actually. So I've got the performance of our NFPP DAs here in the month of August. So these are all the DAs that are active, okay? We have 36 DAs, and there's 15 of them that are up and running. All the rest are in some form of training, from just being hired in the inspired sales and all that stuff. So the 15 that are active, we got some pretty good performances here, man. I mean, everyone, all of them are well above their salaries, from here up anyway. And when you look at revenue per proposal, the close rates, their aggregate, 34% for the group is pretty good. And average sales up there, volumes up there. So we got a lot of DAs that are doing well right now, which is good to see. Because that has not been the case, in the past. So I think we're doing a better job on leading them and even hiring now. Like we're looking for the right types of people as a group. So. What was that?
Jimbo just popped in.
Yeah, and then I don't know. Your guys landed a few sales, right? Chris has landed a few sales, right, Tim? He didn't show up on my report, but I think he's doing pretty well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think last month, he's probably listening to me. Chris, how much did you sell last month? 46K or something like that. And this month he's tracking higher than that. I think he'll probably end the month at 50 to 60, somewhere in there. So he's doing well.
Yeah. I'm going to use you as an example again, Tim. So we're under this impression that, like, you hire a DA, they go through a 5-week course with Arlen, they do 50 ride-alongs, and it takes like 3 months to get them up and running. It doesn't have to be that way, okay? In reality, Tim, tell them what you did with Chris. How long has Chris been on board, and how long has he been selling?
Chris got hired on July 5th, the day after the 4th of July. And immediately, I think I stuck him in the van with me for about a week. He went on ride-alongs with me for about a week. And then I put him on digital appointments specifically, and he's probably averaged 8 proposals a week this month, kind of thing. So we're putting him on all kinds of different leads. I've sent him some connect leads so he can start to get a feel for how the value difference is. And I put him out in the field. Now I still will do a ride along with him, once or twice a week. But mostly he's out and selling, and I'm letting him cut his teeth and learn on his own.
Yeah, I mean, there's a self-study version of Inspired Sales. Like Arlen's got like all the recordings of his weekly calls. He's got, the floor you. I mean, you don't need a 3-month startup period, okay? Especially in your situation, Janie, where you got really good neighbors out there. You can ride with the other DAs, Think outside the box. Because like the sooner they're up and running, making money, it's better for you and it's better for them, okay? And another thing is, like, when you talk to the DAs that leave, they don't like the 3 months waiting. They want to get out there. And we're kind of holding them back, in our operations culture, right, Janie? You're not ready yet. You're not ready yet, but, so my mind has shifted on that whole thing too. I mean, get them out there,
I'm curious, can I ask a random unrelated question for the group?
Yeah.
Do any of you require drug testing or anything like that for new hires?
No.
But to make sure they do drugs or
Well,
Good
we live in a
salespeople.
state, we live in a state with a dispensary on every corner. So that was one problem I found with our DA that we let go is I think there was a lot of recreational use going on and his short-term memory was not where it needed to be. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, we're
yet.
not planning on it.
It might help their performance.
In this case, it was hindering. Let's put it that way. When he couldn't remember things that I told him he needed to know. So I just was curious.
No drug testing here.
Because you guys live in civilized places. This is Vegas. So
No,
I live in New Jersey. New Jersey isn't civilized.
Yeah. It's funny you should mention that. Like, so I ran a Lowe's store in Alaska, okay, and Lowe's has a drug testing policy, okay. So nobody else in Anchorage or Fairbanks would test for drugs because it was fruitless. I mean, like 90% of the people up there are smoking weed, for crying out loud, okay. So my first interview question was, we're going to drug test you. Are you going to pass? Because if not, let's just part ways right now.
Yeah.
And then some people would just get up and leave. I mean, I would save a whole 30-minute interview. Okay.
That's awesome.
So like, I see the benefits of both, but I'm not. Some people do it though, Janie. Like to your point.
Okay.
I think in Washington, where we're at, Amazon, they had a tough time hiring people for drivers or just anybody to work. And then their big advertisement push was, we don't drug test. And they all of a sudden they got an abundance of employees. So it's a West Coast thing, I guess.
I guess.
That's how you lose your shipping.
I got to run, guys. Great conversation this morning. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Tim, for all your input. I appreciate it, man. All right. Well, that's really all I had to cover. We've talked about everything from compensation plans to drug testing to we've touched it all today. So I thought it started out kind of slow, but I think it got really good when you guys started participating. I thought some really good, thoughts and comments today, and the whole issue with, the produced versus landed and, think sales culture, make sure it fits in with a sales culture when you're making decisions. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of use that as your barometer.
Are you going to send out those documents, including the offer
Yeah.
letter? Can we see that?
Yeah, I'll send all that to you.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks,
All
Joe.
right. All right, thanks everybody.
Thank
And
you,
then
Joe.
So Dana, you're coming over to scalability next month, I think, right?
Yep, we're
All
graduating.
right. So, all
Nice.
right. All right. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.